Okay, class, it's Dr. Lindner. Let's get back to the UVA and UVB rays. So UVA rays are going to penetrate the dermis, and these could be damaging, these UVA rays. They can produce oxygen-free radicals that disrupt and destroy the collagen and the elastic fibers in the skin. And when the collagen and elastic fibers get damaged, the integrity of the skin becomes compromised and can cause severe wrinkling. So those UVA rays can do that. The UVA rays can also permeate the blood vessels and destroy all the B vitamins there. It can destroy the stem cells. It can destroy folic acid. And we need folic acid so that we can methylate properly. And methylation is needed to make neurotransmitters. It's for DNA formation, RNA formation, to make hormones, neurotransmitters in order to lose weight properly, and fat metabolism all requires folic acid, which is B9, but many people can't process folic acid properly, so they'll take it in the form called methyl tetrahydrofolate. It's actually called 5-MTHF, which is the methylated form of B9. A lot of people have a mutation called MTHFR, where they don't have the methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase, the enzyme that can process folic acid. And when you don't have the enzyme and folic acid accumulates, there are typically increase in cancer rates as a result of that. So getting yourself tested for the MTHFR is always an important thing to do. It is the C677T test and the A1298C. These are the two tests that fall under the category of the MTHFR. The UVB rays, these rays reach the keratinocytes and they convert the cholesterol into these pre-vitamin D precursors that will go to the liver and eventually the kidney to make vitamin D3. Okay, and the melanin that's produced protects us against DNA damage and against folate breakdown, right? The melanin from the melanocytes move upward, and it's going to protect the blood vessels and protect the stem cells. Now, since we're talking about the UVA radiation and UVB, excessive exposure to the ultraviolet light from the sun or from tanning salons is the most common cause of skin cancer. And there's some studies that are out there that are showing that what people put on their skin to protect them from the UV light can also cause skin cancer. So it seems like damned if you do, damned if you don't. So a lot of research is moving that suntan lotion and sun protection has a lot of chemicals that are damaging to the skin that are known to cause cancer as well. In terms of tanning, this is a fad. And this fad started, I think it was in the 1920s with Chanel. Okay, I think Chanel, like the artist, the perfume, the colognes, the stylist, I forget her name, Coco Chanel. She was the one that started the fad of tanning because early on, in the early part of the century, light skin was equated with high financial status. That people would wear these long dresses and they would take lead and powder their face to make their skin turn very, very light skinned to equate their status that they're always inside and that the laborer was outside and would have the tan skin. Okay. But Coco Chanel went on this Mediterranean cruise, came back with this tan and the sunburn. And because she was wealthy and all this money, they figured, well, okay, I guess tanning is the equated with wealth and high financial status. And that's really how the fad of tanning started with Coco Chanel. But with too much of this stuff, there's three major types of basal cell carcinoma. There's three major types of cancer. You've got your basal cell carcinoma, you got your squamous cell carcinoma, and you got malignant melanoma. So these are some of those cancers. So here's your squamous cell carcinoma, what that looks like. Here's your basal cell carcinoma, and here's malignant melanoma. And this is a mole. This is just normal. Okay. Now, how could a person tell? You can. That's why you have specialists called dermatologists that are the specialists to look at this, and they scan your entire body from head to toe. Find a good dermatologist to be part of your healthcare team. Now, burns, this is tissue damage that's caused by excessive heat or electricity or radioactivity or certain corrosive chemicals that touch your skin and then denature all the proteins and break them down. But burns are graded according to their severity as either a first degree, second degree, or third degree burn. When there's a first degree burn, like a sunburn, where you get this erythematous or erythema, this is when the epidermis alone is affected. That's a first degree burn. Now, when you start to blister, if you get a sunburn that's bad enough and you get blistering, or you touch something and you get burned and you blisters, now the damage is through the epidermis into the dermis. All right. So you got blisters that are associated with the second degree, and this is very painful. Your third degree burn is through all layers, epidermis, dermis, and the subcutaneous. That's a third degree burn. Believe it or not as painful as a second degree. Second degree is more painful than a third degree. Why? Because when you burn through these layers, you burn through all the receptors and all the pain receptors as well. But a third degree burn is very, very life-threatening. Okay. If the burns are like over more than 50% of the body, it's kind of, are they going to make it or not? It's very, very, very dangerous. Okay. So how do we figure out what percentage of the body is burned? So we have something called a rule of nines, and that's used to estimate the surface area. So if we look, okay, the anterior head and neck. So if we look at this from the front, it's 4.5%. But if we look at the front and then we take the back, now you got 9%. Anterior and posterior, the head and neck is 9%. All right, now let's look at the arm. So the anterior shoulder, the forearm, and the hand, all of this, the anterior part of this, this is 9%. Okay, anterior shoulders, arm, and so this one is 4.5. This one is 4.5. Okay, when we look at the both, it's 9%. You got 4.5% on the back as well. So the anterior and posterior shoulders, the arms, the forearms, and the hand, we're looking at 18%. So you got 4.5 in the front, 4.5 in the back. That's 9% there. Plus this one is 9. 9 and 9 is 18. Okay, when you look at the anterior trunk is 18. If you add the posterior, 18 and 18, you're looking at 36. All rules of 9. Okay, the anterior thigh, legs, and feet. The anterior and posterior. So if you're looking at 9% up here, and this is 9% in here, so that's 18%. But now we add another 18 for everything on the back. So 18 and 18, 36. So and then you have the genital area, which is 1%. So when you add up those percentages, it comes out to 100% of the body. Okay. And then there are another type of lesion. It's not a burn, but these are pressure ulcers. Sometimes they're called bed sores. These are very common in chronically ill people or elderly when they're lying down in a bed and they just haven't moved. No one moves them around. Because of the pressure, you get this wearing away. And this could be this is the heel. It can happen on the elbows. It can happen around the gluteal area. And it's caused, if they're not moving, there's going to be decreased blood flow to those tissues. When there's decreased blood flow, decreased nutrition, decreased oxygenation, then the tissues start to become malnourished and they become very thin, and it's very easy to form ulcers there. And these could lead to severe infection. This is already necrotic. This is black, dead tissue. You could see the reddening, the erythema in this area. Very, very bad to get to that position.